Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon. Today we're going to be talking about the 22nd serial of Doctor Who, Season 3, Episode something.
That was a Joe fact.
The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, which consists of 4 episodes, War of God, The Sea Beggar, Priest of Death, and Bell of Doom, which aired from February 5th, 1966 to February 26th, 1966. That's what we'll be talking about today. But? Before we dive into this serial, I think it's time that we I don't know the word I'm looking for. Revisit one of our previous features, which is people arguing about the solar system.
Alright, what? I assume something has happened.
Something has happened. Okay, as previously mentioned, Jez said, why is it called the solar system?
Because there are other solar systems.
Right.
That was her comment.
Yes, and then we had Vince who said, solar system is based on the word soul, so it's which is the name of our sun, and so it is specific to this the solar system is specific to here, but now an anonymous source has added some further things.
Your anonymous source has a name at the top.
The person wishes to remain anonymous.
Okay.
NASA overall and JPL specific, I don't know what JPL is,
but our anonymous source does.
Both use solar system to refer to systems beyond ours. The difference is capitalization. Solar system for ours, that's with capital S's, and lowercase solar system for anything else. There's links that I didn't click, I just assumed were accurate. But, so there we go.
So a capital S solar system is our solar system?
Yeah.
And all other solar systems are lowercase s.
So I guess what you have to ask is, did that character who mentioned the solar system, were they speaking in caps or lowercase?
I mean, really what you have to ask is, who cares?
Our listeners. Because it's our most popular feature of the podcast.
But I guess that's true.
So, if there's any more...
I think while we're, going back and correcting things, do you have anything to say on the concept of time travel?
Okay, I'm still not 100% sold on Chris Cherry's viewpoint on Comedy Bang Bang's time travel episode, the TV show, not the podcast. But, he has said some things that have made me reconsider. But...
He's holding out for a diagram, you guys.
I am holding out for a diagram. Which Chris said he said he's working on. He's working on a diagram, and now it's out in a podcast, so if he hears it, he'll be like, oh right, I have to finish that diagram now. Which we will post on the blog if he ever does it. Which, though, I don't know. Vince never made his Chumbly remix, so...
Yeah, but Vince wasn't like, I'm going to make a Chumbly remix. We were like, Vince, you should do this. And Vince was like, okay?
That's true.
It's a little bit of a different scenario.
Yeah, the difference is Chris said he was going to do it, and we're just confirming that. So that's what we've got. Solar systems and the time travel and Comedy Bang Bang.
So back to the time travel this podcast is about, right?
So we should get into the episode? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, which...
As always, I'll let you start because I've failed to prepare anything.
That's fair enough. I just, first off, I want to say, is that not just the most unwieldy title?
I mean, it's a thing.
Apparently the massacre was on St. Bartholomew's Day, not Eve. I read that. But they're saying, this is the eve of... the massacre.
No, I followed.
It's the eve of the massacre.
The Massacre Eve.
Yeah. The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. Such a long title.
That is pretty unwieldy, now that I think about it that way.
Why not just call it St. Bart's? Part 1.
St. Bart's Happy Fun Time.
Let's...
St. Bart's
let's
Fun
preface
time
this
Catholic hour.
by saying I don't think either one of us knew anything about the massacre. Well, you, as we watched, you're
It
like,
was one of those
this is
things
ringing
where
bells.
it's like, I know I have learned about this thing.
Mhm.
I know I have learned about this thing, but if you had, like, asked me, I probably couldn't provide you any specific details. I would have been like, yes, I learned about that. That was definitely a chapter in my history book, which I think we've mentioned before on the podcast, but I am Catholic.
I don't know if we've mentioned it, but...
I don't know if we have either. I feel like it's come up once or twice. I don't know. What I'm saying
but she's
is...
Catholic, there you go.
It's not to blame this... It's not like I did go to Catholic school. It's not like they didn't teach me these things in Catholic school. They totally did. I just didn't pay attention. So it's...
And now it's paying off in this podcast.
St. Bartholomew's Eve?
Yes, the first episode, War of God. So, as you can tell, it's already pretty Catholic.
I mean, that's the most Catholic thing there is, really.
So, the Doctor and Stephen land in France. They don't know where they are. Is it medieval? 16th century? I think it's 16th century. They kind of narrow it down to where they are because this guy shows up who they immediately run away from.
Can I admit to something right now?
What?
I'm totally sketchy on what constitutes medieval. What time does that cover?
It's where knights fight dragons.
Right? Like, when you think of medieval, it's an aesthetic and not like I couldn't give you an actual period of time.
That's fair. I don't know either.
I don't think it's fair. I think we're both just
we're
really
just stupid. My immediate thought was 12th century, but that was just a number that popped in my head.
That was just a number that you just made up. Should we Google it right now?
No, let's just continue in our ignorance and have people tell us.
I'm looking it up.
Oh, come on.
You do your thing.
I'm gonna get the sound of you typing, and also you're typing into the wrong thing.
It'll search the web.
And also you don't have the internet, you're not connected to the internet.
Alright. Whatever. I'll search it on my phone. Touchscreens don't make noise.
Anyway, this guy shows up. They run away from him because that's what they do.
They're like, oh, person, hide.
For no reason. They don't know if he's good, bad, what. They don't go, hey, what's up?
Which I guess Steven's on board with this now. Because wasn't he like the one before who was like, well, why?
Yeah, in his, the Time Miller episode,
and now he's just like, oh, person, hide. I guess that just happens after you've been on the TARDIS long enough.
They find out kind of what century it is, so they go back
to the 15th century.
5th to the 15th. 12th was right, so...
It was in there. 12th is in between 5 and 15.
So they figure out what time period they're in, pretty much, and they go back to the TARDIS to change clothes. Costume change.
I love costumes. I like historicals where they're like, oh, we're going to change our clothes, because it's fun. It's fun to see them in different costumes.
Then we go to a bar where we meet sort of the head of, like, people that are representative of two different, the Catholics and the Huguenots, right? Mm-hmm. And there's awkward bar tension, and they're talking about shit and setting up the political, religious conflict.
Yeah, they basically tell you what's going on.
Like, we don't like you because you're different. We don't like you because you're different.
Even though a marriage thing is happening, that's probably just going to make things worse. Yeah,
like a Catholic's marrying a Huguenot, and it's supposed to bring about peace or some shit, but really it's just making people more upset. And then there's a guy named Gaston, who, which side is Gaston on? I think he's on the Catholic side.
Gaston sounds like a good Catholic name.
And he pays the bartender to eavesdrop.
No, yeah.
On the Huguenots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let them know, like, if they, like, say, oh, here's our plans.
Which they do. You said that like it's ridiculous, but they basically do.
Anyway, the doctor's like, since we're here, I'm going to go visit this famous scientist fella, Preslin.
Yeah.
Right?
That one I did know, yeah.
You know Preslin? Tell us about Preslin.
He discovered germs. That's it. That's all I know.
Fascinating.
End of knowledge.
That's great. They said that in the serial itself.
Yeah, that's where I learned it.
Oh my god. We need smart people on this podcast. Instead, we've just got us couple of idiots. So anyway, they're at the bar, and the doctor's like, well, peace out, Stephen. You stay here and don't get in any trouble. I'm going to go see Preslin. And as he's heading out the door, somebody's coming in and, like, notices the doctor and is like...
He makes his face. Like, what the hell is he doing here? That's the face he makes.
Well, that we assume he makes. We forgot to mention this entire serial does not exist. There's not even, like some of these episodes that are missing have at least, like, footage randomly. This is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But anyway, yeah, he recognizes the doctor and then
I almost forget
goes to follow him.
because I just remember it as moving.
You've just filled in the gaps with your imagination.
I've just created the entire episode in my head.
Then why do you complain so much about the missing ones?
Because I hate watching them. Sure, like 3 weeks from then, I'll remember it as completely existing. But watching them is the worst.
Then Steven goes to pay his drinking bill and is almost shortchanged by the bartender.
Yeah, that was rude.
And this guy named Nicholas sort of steps in and is like, saves the day. Is like, you give that man his money.
And instantly loves Steven for some reason?
Yeah, like
just
huge crush. It's not just Nicholas either. It's like all of the Huguenots.
Everyone meets Steven and is like, Steven, come hang out with us.
You're the best, Steven.
I'm like, Steven doesn't do much. I could see a scene where, like, people are hanging out with Steven and they're like, this kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything. He's just kind of like, oh, I paid for your tab. You have to come hang out with us. No, you have to come back with us and hang out with us.
Drinks.
Yeah. Well, he's a traveler, or he's a traveler. So he's like, tell us where you've been and tell us your stories.
Yeah, and then it's just everybody's hot for Steven.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be his Biff.
I wouldn't mind being Steven's Biff.
We would be great Biffs.
The best Biffs. The best.
Yep.
This is what happens when I talk before I think. Meanwhile, the doctor shows up at Preslin's, and there's a guy there who's like, no, Preslin's gone. Don't know where he is. And that guy is Preslin.
He's hiding because Catholics are dicks.
And they're like, germs are of the devil.
Right. Germs are hearsay.
Hearsay. Germs are hearsay.
Heresy.
There's no real proof that they exist.
That's the word I was going for, was heresy.
Heresy.
Not hearsay. Those are two different things. This is going just stunningly poorly.
What are you talking about? This is fantastic. Germs are hearsay.
Oh, so bad.
But yeah, the doctor quickly figures it out and is like, hey, no, I'm not here to, like, bust your balls. I like your work.
Which the doctor then does something that's kind of weird to me. And I think it doesn't necessarily happen in this scene. It might happen in, like, we cut away from it and then cut back to it and this is when it happens. But he's kind of like, hey, you gotta do the science thing. Like, convinces him that he's gotta go figure out what microscopes are. I don't know, it's weird to me because it's like, it already happened, man. Why are you messing with it? Like,
well, I think he just, like, needed to further develop his stuff.
I think the doctor just wanted to be like, technically, that was me.
I want to be the cause for everything.
All I'm saying is that technically he's kind of meddling here in a way that was totally not cool just a few episodes ago. That's all I'm saying.
Then the next thing we have is there's guards chasing a girl around because she's bad, I guess.
No, she's a servant.
She's not bad. Yeah, she's a servant.
She's a servant, and she ran away from the house that she was serving at.
And her name, which they eventually say, but her name is Anne Chaplet. Anne Chaplet. And then Gaston scares off guards.
Yeah, she runs into the bar where everybody's staying. I think she's hiding. And Gaston's basically like, nope, she's not in here. Bye. Like, that's...
But isn't Gaston the Catholic guy? I'm very confused all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm confused now, too.
Well, somebody protects the girl. I got a little confused.
Wait, have we screwed up a character?
We might have.
I feel like we had like a stride and we were in it, and now we're out. The stride. It being the stride.
Okay, no, Gaston's a Huguenot.
So we fucked up all the way at the beginning? So who's the Catholic?
But Gaston... Okay, so wait. Huh?
Who's the Catholic guy at the beginning?
Guys, don't listen to us. We're stupid.
The whole point of the podcast is that they listen to us.
I was a little confused here and there throughout the episode.
Let's just stop this.
No.
Let's just stop it.
We've been going for 20 minutes. We're not starting again.
Start again from the beginning.
No, because hearsay. Okay.
That's the only good thing that's come out of this 20 minutes.
No, it's not. There's other fun things.
Can we just, like, real quick, can you just say what you said at the beginning, but with the right name?
No.
You're gonna leave all this confusing stuff in?
No, I'm just gonna sum up. I'm just gonna sum up real quick.
Alright.
So, we have... Okay, so I said Gaston paid the bartender. I don't think it was Gaston. I think it was Simon who was the Catholic.
No,
that's it. That's the only thing that I fucked up.
What I'm saying is just say it so you can just put it into the beginning.
But I never said who Simon was.
You say Simon was a Catholic who paid the bartender to spy on all the Huguenots in the bar.
But I said Gaston was a Catholic like 7 times.
How many times?
7.
They cut out those 7 times and replace it with what I just said.
I'm just going to say, Gaston is a Huguenot. Simon was a Catholic. Simon paid the bartender. Or maybe Gaston did. I don't really remember. That's not really important. The bartender's eavesdropping and a dick. That's all you need to know. But Stephen's hanging out with the Huguenots. All the Huguenots have the hots for Stephen. That's all you need to know. And the Huguenots protect Anne. When she shows up, they hide her away from the guards. Presumably Catholic guards? Okay. We're caught up. We're all good. We're good. People like us. So we're all on the right track here.
Did you even watch the show?
Yeah, I watched the show. We learned that the abbot hates science.
Just Catholicism in general, really.
Because
it's hearsay.
The Huguenots speak to Anne, the girl, and the girl overheard them say Vassy and then something about doing it again or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was like it was a massacre, and she's afraid it's going to happen again. The Huguenots are
Which Vassy is where she's from, that's why she ran away.
Because she was there for all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Simon comes back, and the bartender rats out everyone. Mm-hmm. Stephen, meanwhile, is like, well, I guess I'm just going to hang out here till the doctor gets back. He's supposed to be back, like,
and
now.
Everyone's bummed. Like, oh, Stephen, no! Stephen, keep hanging with us!
And they're like, dude, there's a curfew, and you really can't be here, so you just come back with us. We'll leave a note with the bartender. Well, not a note. We'll just have the bartender, like, if the doctor comes by,
we'll tell him
he's at
our place.
He's at our crib. Stephen's at our crib.
That's exactly word for word how it goes down.
Then anyway, the abbot learns that the girl overheard this stuff, and he is upset. And he also looks exactly like the doctor.
Exactly like the doctor. Like, it's almost as if he's played by the same guy.
He is. The abbot is played by William Hartnell. And that is the end of the first episode, War of God. Which, okay, let's just get this out here right now. No real reason for William Hartnell to play this character.
No, okay,
There's
the thing.
some confusion.
Here's the thing. There are moments where you're genuinely like, that's not the doctor though, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of it. Is that, because the doctor's kind of, he went with Preslin. And then he kind of leaves because he's gonna go find this other scientist, the microscope guy, and make them shared knowledge.
Make them kiss?
Make them kiss.
Man, the doctor takes his ship seriously.
So he's gone. Like, he's gone and you don't see him. So there's part of you that's like this is not an out of character thing for the doctor to do. Just be like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the important person. That's totally something he would do. So there's moments where, like, Stephen's trying to figure it out. Because eventually, I know I'm jumping ahead, but eventually Stephen runs into this guy and he's like, that's the doctor.
Right?
Is that the doctor? Yeah. It's the doctor. But, like, you're kind of in the same place where you're like, why would this character just look exactly like William Hartnell?
I mean, and that's my problem with it, is ultimately there is no reason that he looks like the doctor. He just looks like the doctor.
Well, someone's got to.
And also, it's a thing to have William Hartnell play another character, even though he's not in either the second, I think it's the next episode.
The doctor's not in it a lot.
He's not in the next episode at all because William Hartnell went on vacation again. There's a pre-filmed bit where, like, Stephen sees the abbot through a window and he's, like, out in the street. And that's the only scene with the abbot or the doctor. Yeah. And that's it. It's like, if you're going to have this whole...
If you're going to have him be in it twice, maybe make it at a time when he's not going on vacation.
Maybe utilize that more in your serial. But, whatever. Let's talk about the second episode, shall we?
Let's do it.
It's called The Sea Beggar, which took me, like, the whole episode to figure out who the fuck the Sea Beggar was supposed to be.
I mean, to be fair, that was part of the episode, is, like, who's the Sea Beggar?
Yeah. I know, there's also just, like, a lot of, like, politics going on, and I have a hard time following, and it doesn't help that it doesn't exist as well.
That's always hard. But you have a hard time with politics in general.
I do.
Like, when we read The Queen's Thief, you just glazed over for so much of it.
I did. I don't know. I have a hard time, like, following these people dislike these people, and this, and I don't know, all, like, plans of, like, war plans bore me so much. We're going to fortify over here, and then we're going to march from over here, and then we'll corner them in a thing. I don't care. It's just like...
Hey, Joe, how do you feel about it?
It's all, I don't know. It's worse when it's like fake politics, like, I don't know, or fake wars and all that stuff. It's like, you're just making this shit up so it you know.
That's any story.
I know.
That's any story about anything.
But I don't want to hear about fake politics. I find politics boring enough without it being fake politics.
That's just the way you said it was like, well, it's just made up.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's just people talking about it, though, instead of doing things. It's like, okay, it's like the Star Wars prequels.
Can we watch The West Wing?
Yeah, but there's good dialogue there. It's witty and funny. It's funny and it's well written, but a lot of like stuff like this is just boring and dry. It's like Star Wars. I love the original Star Wars trilogy because it's fun. People are going around. There's lightsaber battles and all that shit. But then the prequels, it's just people talking about trade agreements. I don't give a shit. I want to see Jedis fighting Siths and shit. I don't care about trade embargoes and I don't...
Hey, Joe.
The stupid... it's just stupid. It's
What's an
stupid.
embargo?
I don't know! It can embargo away! It can embargo fuck itself. That's what I have to say about Star Wars politics. Fake God. Space politics. We gotta win over the Senate so that...
but this isn't made up. This is real.
This is real.
This is
true.
Real politics.
But it's just as boring.
That actually happened.
That's moderately better, but it's still hard to follow.
Is it moderately better to you?
Yeah. Because I'm like, well, this is at least... This happened.
See, to me, I don't understand, like, the difference.
I still don't think it's entertaining, necessarily.
But, like, you're learning something at least? Is that...
Yeah.
Alright. I mean, you could have been learning about embargoes while watching Star Wars. You just chose not to.
Okay, but the thing is, you don't go into Star Wars hoping to learn about, embargoes.
That's true, but Doctor Who you do.
Yeah, Doctor Who can be educational.
Doctor Who, you're like, alright, this alien's about to teach me some economics and shit.
We're gonna learn about taxes. But yeah, okay, but see, that's the thing about Doctor Who is it's you've got the
I have
mix
to say,
of...
I know that there's somebody listening, and it's probably Jez or Chris, who's like, say what an embargo is!
I don't know what an embargo is.
He doesn't know, and I won't say, because it's funnier this way.
I literally have no idea. None. I don't care either.
I'll tell you when the podcast is over.
I mean, I assume it's like...
too.
It's like an agreement or something.
No, it's kind of the opposite.
Okay. I just know I've seen episode 1 like a crap ton of times because I was going to do a parody of it with Vince, and you hear trade embargo and trade agreement and trade like 9 billion times. It's just awful. Anyway, but yeah, like with Doctor Who though, it's like real history mixed with like fiction, which is kind of interesting.
Alright, so like in this context, it's slightly more tolerable to you than in the context of Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, like,
just
at least...
expect to see people fighting.
Yeah, like, at least if it's real, then, like, it makes sense to do it. But, like, if you're just making it up, don't be boring. Like, you could have that stuff in Star Wars, and that's fine, but use it more as background than, like, taking up the huge portion of your movie of just people talking.
I feel like we're slightly off track here.
Yeah, we are. We're talking about Star Wars instead of Doctor Who.
That's not even a stretch goal.
No, that's not... Hey, we'll make it a stretch goal. If you guys want us to talk about Star Wars, we'll make that a stretch goal. Interested?
To Watch-A-Thon
Send us a message.
Of...
Han Solo. ...
Solo. And it's just you, not me.
Yeah, it's just me ranting about trade embargoes.
It's just a 3-hour podcast where Joe just says, embargo fuck yourself for the whole thing.
Anyway. Let's move on with the Sea Beggar, which we start with Huguenots discussing their plans. Boring!
Openly.
Actually, I think they're doing it in their little house thing.
Oh, okay.
At their crib.
Their Huguenot crib.
Steven's like, peace out, yo, I'm going to try to find the doctor. Cannot find the doctor.
No. Which doesn't he, by the way, he waits. He's waiting in the bar. And he has to go because there's curfew. He's not just, like, waiting in the bar like, oh, I'm gonna wait here for the doctor. Like, they agreed upon this time to meet back. And the doctor stands him up, essentially. And Steven's not even surprised. He's like, honestly, he probably just got distracted.
And his Huguenot friends are like, you deserve better. Steven is totally friend-zoning the Huguenots.
What?
And by...
God, don't even use that ironically. It's
dating,
so gross.
Dating the jerk jock boyfriend,
The
doctor.
This is taking a weird turn. We need to quickly get to the end.
This Catholic guy, Roger, confronts Gaston.
Are we certain that's his name?
It's what it says in my script. In my notes. So, okay, let's just say this Catholic guy comes by and confronts Gaston about Anne, I guess. He's looking for Anne. Sees Anne, but they're like, that's not Anne.
That's Joan. She's been here for ages. I don't know if that's the name they give, but it's something like that.
I think it might have been Joan.
Really?
No.
He gives some other name, and it's like, that's been my servant for ages. You're mistaken.
He's like, oh, all right. Well, peace out. Gotta hang out with the abbot. The abbot shows up, but outside, and that's when Steven sees it from the window, and is like, what?
Steven, by the way, doesn't go, what? He goes, hey, that's my friend.
That's
Hey!
the doctor.
Hey! And all the Huguenots are like, that's your friend?
And they're like, oh, so you're a spy for the Catholics.
So you're a Catholic spy. And Steven's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, literally, guys, I don't even know what that means. I don't know anything about what's happening.
He's just like me.
What's a Catholic? What's a Huguenot?
What's an embargo? And also, I think the Catholics think that Stephen might be a spy.
Yeah, because they're like, there's some English guy with him. That's weird, right?
Yeah. So they think,
which I don't think we've mentioned, but all of you know that we're in France. You're all smarter than us, right?
Oh, I thought we said we were in France in the beginning.
Maybe we did.
That
was France. So long ago.
That was before the Star Wars prequels. So Stephen tries to go to find the doctor again after being, sort of semi-shunned by his Huguenot hotties.
Who are you?
I don't know. He shows up, he goes to where Preslin's supposed to be, and then there's someone there that's like, yeah, Preslin's dead or in jail maybe. And Stephen's like, okay. And just goes with it. Doesn't question it at all, really.
Well, okay, here's the thing though. He convinces them to go find Preslin, right? As proof that he's not lying. He's gonna go find the doctor.
Right.
He's like, I was mistaken. That guy, I just thought that guy was the doctor, because he looks like the doctor. But I guess he's not. If you guys say he's the abbot, then I don't even know what that means, but I guess he's the abbot. So let's go find the doctor. And so they're kind of like, all right, if we can find the doctor, I guess you're not a spy. So he goes back to the scientist, because that's where the doctor's supposed to be. And it's like, yeah, he's dead. No one knows anything about him. And so they're like, okay, so it's looking an awful lot like you're a spy now. Steven's like, I still don't know what any of this means.
So he just sort of runs. I think he maybe gets chased by somebody at some point. I don't even... It has got Stephen Bolts, so I guess that happens. But Anne sticks up for Stephen, because everybody likes Stephen.
Yeah, he's kind, she said. He is kind. I like Stephen.
And then, so Stephen he goes to eavesdrop on the abbot, because he's like, I'm gonna go check out this abbot and see if it's the doctor.
Because again, totally in character for the doctor to just be like, hey, I'm the abbot, sure.
Why not? I don't know how to play a liar.
I'm the most Catholic there is, that's me, the doctor.
Yeah, I love that, Buddha? Did I get the right one? Maybe he picked up a thing from the Time Meddler. Imitating people of the cloth. Oh, I guess we forgot to mention there's going to be an assassination. They're going to assassinate the sea beggar, right?
Yes, that's the whole point of this episode.
That's what
That's literally what this episode is about. Stephen finds out there's an assassination.
He overhears it.
We were getting there. We were getting there.
They tell the abbot about the assassination. Yeah. So the Catholics are going to assassinate the sea beggar, right?
Yes.
We don't know who the sea beggar is at this point?
To be honest, I don't know. I couldn't hear a lot going on, and there was nothing to see. So I'm not entirely certain when it was revealed.
I know, there's a lot where I was like, I'm trying desperately to piece this together.
Yeah.
Not a fault of the show.
Yeah,
it's a fault of me being an idiot, and also the audio being kind of hard to hear because...
The audio was kind of low in places. Not just low, but, just gone, distorted. There's not anything happening, so if you can't hear, you're like, who's the seabed? I think Joe probably asked me 4 times, and I'm like, I don't think we know yet, but I can't be certain.
So, anyway, Stephen returns to the Huguenots to tell them about this assassination, that there's going to be an assassination attempt to sort of get back in their good graces.
So I do think there's a moment where, the audience knows, but Stephen doesn't know, but I was honestly like, I don't know who that is, because I've not seen anybody's faces.
But to the Huguenot I think it may have been Nicholas, or maybe it was Gaston, I don't remember which. But one of the Huguenots does not believe Stephen, and then there's a sad sword fight.
It was nice because Stephen, kind of...
Neither one of them really wanted to fight each other, and Stephen, kind of refused.
Yeah, Stephen is not fighting back at all. Man, I wish I could have seen that.
That'd have been good.
Because you can tell he's kind of getting pissed, too.
Why aren't you fighting?
Right, fight back at least, because this is making me feel shitty.
So Stephen just runs away and follows him.
That just kind of happens to Stephen, doesn't it? He just picks up stragglers. Because that's basically how, Katerina got on board the TARDIS.
And then we've got the Alliance of the Dutch is my last note, which is for this episode, which is some political thing I've forgotten about, but I wrote it down.
Oh, that's the sea beggar, though.
Is it? Yeah.
The one who wants the alliance.
Oh, right. The guy who wants the alliance with the Dutch is the sea beggar. And that's the end of the episode, is the revelation of this admiral is the sea beggar.
Yes.
Who wants an alliance with the Dutch. Okay. That's important. And now we're on to, that's the end of the sea beggar, and, well, not literally, that happens later. And we're now into episode 3, Priest of Death! Stephen is going to go to the abbot, but he's going to change clothes so that they won't recognize him. So him and Anne go to Preslin's since they know no one's there.
Yeah, literally, he just puts on, a different outfit and is like, no one will recognize me now. And it's like, Stephen, that's not how clothes work.
Also, he stole Preslin's clothes.
Yeah, because that's what they do.
And then we got, long political scene.
Joe does not know what happened.
No money to fight Spain. They don't have the money to fight Spain. And I assume the alliance of the Dutch. And so they have no money to fight Spain. Politics. Do you remember what happened there? Politics. So then Stephen gives up Anne to the abbot.
In kind of an asshole move.
To further his credulity of not being Stephen.
But also, I think at this point he's relatively convinced that it's the doctor.
Right.
So in his head, he's not giving Anne up at all. He's like, I just need to get the doctor, away from everyone else so I can be like, what the hell are you doing? What's your plan? And
then Stephen finds out that the admiral is the sea beggar, which doesn't really change anything because nothing really happens to stop the assassin. They try to assassinate him. He gets shot, but he does not die. So the attempt failed.
Mm-hmm.
Really, there's been no influence on the plot whatsoever so far. Everything that was going to happen happened. So, and then somebody blamed the abbot for it. And the king's pissed, and then they kill the abbot.
Basically, yes.
Why did they think the abbot? Why were they blaming the abbot for this?
He was a Huguenot, right?
Was the abbot a Huguenot?
No, not the abbot. The abbot's Catholic.
The sea beggar was a Huguenot. Wait, who's a Huguenot? Is he a Hugo or not?
No, why did they think the abbot did it?
Did he do it?
No.
Right.
Okay, this was all done basically to incite a war. The queen did it. That happened. I mean, that's revealed in the episode. It's the queen who does it. Actually, I think the queen kills the abbot?
Well, they order the abbot to be like this. It was the king, I think.
Yeah, king, because the king's pissed.
Because of the attempt on the sea beggar.
That was the queen.
Wait, the queen is the sea beggar?
No!
Bid his glory? I'm confused.
The queen ordered the assassination on the sea beggar. The sea beggar is in his, court. Mm. They're, all trying to work out stuff together. So the king is pissed. The abbot was part of the plan.
Right.
To kill, that's known. And so the king is pissed, so he orders the abbot killed.
And then the king puts somebody in charge of protecting the admiral. Somebody who is part of the assassination plot.
Yes.
Which is, not a good move.
Not a great guard.
Then they use the murder of the abbot. They convince the people that the Huguenots killed the abbot. Even though they themselves were the ones who killed the abbot. Which is gonna just starts like a
massacre,
a mob scene, and that's the end of the very confusing Priest of Death, or the Dead Priest. Is abbot a priest? Is an abbot a priest?
This is a mess.
This is a mess, and I love it. Okay, and now we're on to the last episode, Bell of Doom. Not like a Southern Bell type of bell, but like a ding dong bell, Bell of Doom.
Who says Southern Bell?
Well, Beauty and the Beast, not like Beauty and the Beast bell. I
don't think anyone needed that clarification.
But I'm here to provide it. Stephen saw the dead abbot and thinks it's the doctor. Returns to Anne, is like, the doctor's dead.
Which is really heartbreaking. Because I can't even imagine how you're like, that's it. That's as screwed as I could possibly be. I think there's a part of me who's like, can I figure out how to work the TARDIS?
They're like at Preslin's, and he's like, well, the doctor must have changed outfits here, so maybe his clothes are here, and I can find the TARDIS key.
And he tears the place apart looking for a key.
And finds the doctor's cane as well.
But that's all that's there.
Then Steven's like, well, then everything I thought was true must be true. That was the doctor, and he's dead. Because it all makes sense now.
He's completely devastated and, like, completely heartbroken, and then the doctor just kind of strolls in and is like, what's up? Did you miss me?
I learned a lot about germs.
Science is great.
Then politics happens.
That you literally have a note that just says, politics.
It's not...
Why did you even bother to write that down?
Because I was like, well, that happened. I should note it. Nick to stay with Admiral. I don't know who Nick is.
Nick's the guy guarding him?
Sure. Oh, right. Okay, so, like, he's sick. He's shot. He's not sick, but he's, like, dying. Steven fills in the doctor on what's going on because he hasn't been around. And then the doctor's like, oh, I know shit's about to go down.
This is kind of fucked up.
And he sends Anne home.
He sends Anne home and is like, you'll be fine.
And Steven's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, she can come with us. Why can't she come with us? Why can't she come with them?
You can't interfere with history? I don't know.
He picks people up from history all the time.
It's only when it's plot relevant.
I don't understand why they couldn't. I'm with Steven on this one.
And then the Queen they bring the Queen this list of Huguenots that need to be taken care of, and she's like, the mob will take care of it. They'll kill all the Huguenots, all of them, and our problems will be solved. And she wants to kill the prince, who's also a Huguenot, right? The two people that just got married.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to kill that person. Somebody else does not. There's more politics.
The king.
The king does not.
Which the king is her son, correct?
Sure. We're going to get so many notes about this episode.
We're not going to get notes. We're going to get text from Jez.
Yeah, just stay tuned for an upcoming episode where we will have tons of Jez sayings. Jez saying how stupid we are. But anyway, so there's guards in front of the TARDIS, but then the massacre starts happening. They're able to get in the TARDIS, Steven and the Doctor. And then there's just this long montage of just death.
A massacre.
A massacre. I don't know if this was in the actual episode. In our reconstruction, there was just like illustrations or like, I guess, paintings and stuff of the massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually pretty effective with just these awful sounds of chaos and people killing each other and screaming and crying, and it was fucked up. It lasted for like a good few minutes. I was like, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
And then in the TARDIS, Steven's pissed about Anne because he's like, you left her to die.
You sent her back there. You knew this was going to happen and you sent her back there. Why would you do that? And the Doctor doesn't give a satisfactory reason?
Well, he says it. I think he says it's because I think he pulls out that bullshit about you can't interfere with the course of history.
He does all the time.
I know. Maybe he's trying to be better about it. He's like, I do interfere too much. Maybe I should back off a bit. Stop kidnapping
would it harm
people.
if he saved one person?
And then Steven's like, you know what? Fuck you, I'm out.
And he leaves.
And the TARDIS lands and he leaves. And we have the Doctor all alone.
He gives a little monologue, too.
It's a really good monologue.
It is.
It's really sad. I kind of wish the episode had ended.
Right there.
Right after the Doctor's speech about being alone and how everyone leaves. He lists off all the companions we've had so far, including screwing up Ian's name.
What does he call him?
He's like Chatterton. Chesterton. It was adorable.
I got really nostalgic in that moment. Where I was like, yeah, Chatterton.
And he's like, maybe I'll go home, but I can't go home. Which is, I feel like that's one of the first, not the first, but one of the first sort of like hints at Gallifrey stuff. I mean, they did it, they mentioned it in the censor rights, but like, I feel like this is the first time, like, maybe the first or second time that they said like, that he can't go back home.
No, they've literally said it in Unearthly Child.
Did they?
I'd know because I just watched it.
Oh, alright. The third time then. But yeah, anyway, he's all alone.
Do you know what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
And so that was the end of the episode. not. Sadly, this isn't terrible, but I feel like it would have been better if this had not happened.
Or it happened in the next episode, maybe.
Yeah. A sort of comical lady figure enters and is like,
Where's the phone?
Where's the phone? There's been an accident. I need to call the police.
And it's just completely unfazed that she is standing in a police box that's bigger on the inside with a time machine in it. She just wants to know where the phone is.
And the doctor's all like, whoo, 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 flutters around and is like, look, you're in a spaceship. Go away.
like annoyed, but she's just like, where's the phone?
Yeah, and he's just like, this is a time machine. Go find a phone somewhere else.
Right.
And then Steven runs back in and is like, the cops are coming or something. We gotta get out.
Because the cops might come into the time machine, and that would be bad?
I don't know, everybody's paranoid again.
So bad that we have to take off right this second.
With this girl that stumbled in.
My favorite thing is that, Steven's freaking out.
Yeah.
Steven's like, you don't understand. We can't just bring you back. We're stuck here forever. You don't understand. We can't direct this thing. We just land where we land and then we go. And the girl's like, all right, sounds good to me. And he's like, you won't see your family again? She's like, I don't have any family. You're not gonna go home ever again. All right, it's cool. Steven's way more upset about it than she is. Would you like to say your name?
Yeah. They ask her name and she's like, my name's Dodo Chaplet. And Steven's like, you don't think it could be? And then the doctor's like, it very probably is. Look, I'm free of any guilt of killing your friends. It's not like Chaplet was probably a common name back then or anything. That's definitely a clear descendant, even though that wouldn't make much sense. Unless Anne had a brother, then maybe. But even still, that does not assure that she didn't... I mean, that doesn't mean she didn't die.
And her brother lived.
Because, okay, if Dodo is a direct descendant of Anne...
She would have a different last name.
She would have a different last name, yeah. And, because, I mean, I don't think they were that forward-thinking back in not medieval time spot we were in. And that's it. That's the end. They go off. That's the end of the massacre of... That's the end of the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. And yeah, final thoughts. Well, first off, I want to say that ending, it's kind of too cheesy for me. I feel like it would have been much stronger if they just ended it with Steven leaving. That would have been solid and nice. And instead we have this cheesy tacked on ending to like what was kind of a dark, good, dramatic ending. I'm not saying like everything's going to be dark and gritty. But I'm just saying...
It was solid.
You had a solid ending that you just sort of threw some cheese on top of. Overall, though, I liked the serial. Even though I got confused a lot. As I was watching it, I enjoyed it. Afterwards, I forgot plot points. But there was a lot going on. And a lot of, intrigue and politics. And I feel like the doctor and the abbot thing, while a neat idea, maybe didn't quite meet the potential it could have done, especially since he wasn't even in the second episode, like hardly at all. But it was nice, sort of like concentrating a little more on Steven. We get this. I feel like this is the first time we've gotten this is just pretty much just straight up Steven, which is nice. To be fair, a lot of it is just him going, I don't know what's happening, but I connect with that.
You identify with that?
Yeah, so I get Steven. I get him. I'm like, I don't know either, buddy. Let's go on an adventure.
That's so cute.
And I liked Anne. I loved how all the Huguenots just loved Steven. It was ridiculous, but I loved it. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent serial. It had a great ending with a tacked on cheesy ending. The Prince and the Pauper aspect, not so... I mean, it wasn't technically a Prince and the Pauper thing, but you know what I mean. Sort of the mistaken identity. Like, they look the same.
Oh, I gotcha.
Didn't quite live up to its potential, but yeah.
I will say, while I agree that it wasn't executed in like a really meaningful way, I really enjoyed the kind of moment where you genuinely don't know if it's the doctor or not, and then he dies, and you're like, okay, well, it's not him then. I think there is still a part of me that was like, right? Even though I know the history of the show. He doesn't die. Spoilers.
Well.
It just seems like they didn't do enough with it to justify it.
Interesting concept, not executed amazingly.
Yeah.
And like it should have been, if you're going to do something like that, it should probably be more of the focus instead of just a sort of a B plot almost.
And there's a lot going on, and this is just kind of like a thing in what is a lot of other things. There's a lot happening. And it doesn't help when you can't... Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the missing episodes. It's harder for me to pull things together from beginning to end. I'm like, wait, who is that? If that makes sense. It's harder for me to focus, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, because, like, all of the Huguenots in my mind just sort of coalesced into one generic Huguenot guy, because I couldn't keep track of who was who, because, like, they all sound the same with our audio quality. And it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track. And it didn't help that every single one of them loved Stephen. So they all had the same characteristic, which was...
Gaston had, like, the most, I think.
Him or Nicholas, I think.
Even though you...
Well, I think, like, one was the one guy, and then, like, the other one was...
No,
like,
Gaston was the one who was very loud.
And he eats... How many dozen eggs?
So, yeah, it was pretty good. It'd probably be better if it existed.
Well, you know what?
What?
Our next cereal exists!
What is it?
It is the Ark. So we'll be back next time for the Ark, which should have special guest Vincent E.L. will be back. Hopefully this time he won't be half asleep. But yeah, we'll have Vince next time. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
If you like our stuff, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Watch-A-Thon. We have cool rewards there where you can watch us watch the episodes or get the episodes early. And all sorts of other cool stuff. We have stretch goals. I really hope we can get...
Watch us record the episodes?
You could be seeing our faces right now as we're talking.
You would have seen us wave at you.
Yeah, we just waved and you didn't even know. But you would have known if you were a Patreon patron. And I really hope we get to that stretch goal of the Watch-A-Thon of Con. So if we get enough patrons, we're going to do another podcast where we watch all of Star Trek. And again, know nothing about what we're talking about.
Absolutely nothing. None.
So if you like us talking about Doctor Who and not knowing anything that we're talking about, become a patron so we can also talk about Star Trek and not know what we're talking about every other week. Thanks for listening to the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon! Keep it Rassel awesome.
Nope, that's not a thing.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Even after all this time, he cannot understand. I dare not change the course of history. Now, they're all gone. All gone. None of them could understand. Not even my little Susan or Vicky. And as for Barbara and Chesterton, they were all too impatient to get back to their own time. And now, Stephen, perhaps I should go home, back to my own planet.